Talk to him.
Classic codes, I ain't taking it slow. Forgive me, Lord, I woke up in that mode. Whether the winters were left in the cold.
But we finna cross over into the code language conversation. But this been a hell of a live today, man. Shout out to Mr. McBride again for tapping into the live. For sure. We finna tap over into the code language conversation. Code language conversation kind of ties into everything we've been talking about with the reaction video and the question of the day, which is empathy. We talking about empathy today. I'm not going to break it up into gender, but I may get there. But as I go on this stream of consciousness, just try to keep up with me in regards to this. I think that empathy is something that largely is lacking in society these days. But I also feel like empathy is used to like gaslight as well, because you could be trying to hold someone. First off, let's go like this. Let's do the definition of empathy. Let's just do it like that. The actual book definition of empathy, so y'all can feel me. Empathy, the ability to understand and share feelings of another. Again, simple definition by the book, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. So that's what empathy is, being able to empathize with somebody, being able to say, you know, maybe I haven't been through exactly what you've been through, but how you feeling, I've been there and I understand, you know what I'm saying? And I'm here for you, or I got your back, or if you need anything, that type of vibe, right? And oftentimes, empathy, I think, is a big key ingredient that's missing inside of the recipe of a lot of these failed relationships that could have been successful. A lot of times when you get to digging into these relationships that people have, and I'm fortunate to be in the content creator space now, so I get to consume a lot of information, hear a lot of people's stories. And I also get to have side and back room conversations, the DM, you know what I mean, about certain things, and people open up a bit more. So you just get to hear some of what really goes on with people and like how these situations come about. I've heard some crazy shit, and a lot of times the root of it is just like a lack of empathy. Even going back to the question of the day, are men asking for too much of women? Well, if the women had, again, how I expressed that wives are women who could tell you what being a man consists of. Women who will be chronically single will tell you what they feel like a man is or what a man should be to them. So women who are chronically single or have sustainability issues, they get men, they get attention, they get in relationships, they shortly fail. You know, they surely fail. Whether it's a year later, 5 years later, 10 years later, they don't have death do you part mentality or perspective. So they will always have an expiration date with whoever they're dealing with. Those women lack empathy. Men who are radical and hyper radical to the point where they want to be more like dominant to a fault with their woman, you know, without the understanding of her needing some space and some time or some certain energy from them that isn't as hard. Things like that, consideration, little displays of passion, affection, romance, things like that. Men who lack the ability to be empathetic and do those things, even if they have to consciously remind themselves, let me hit this switch and tap into this energy because I know she needed from me here and there. If you lack that empathy and understanding, you know what I mean, then it's going to be a situation where eventually I don't want to say push her away, but you'll no longer be as appealing as you once were over time. So I think empathy is a big missing component. And then when we break it down from a societal level, as far as like people amongst each other, when we break it down in that regard, then it becomes a situation where from one person to the next, we don't treat each other well, or we'll shame each other when it's not useful. So like I said, I believe in shame. I believe in bullying. I believe they are tools that could be used to not only filter out personality types and also create a pecking order, but I also believe those tools could be used to drive somebody into their greater potential or show a person just how weak they truly are and what potential they absolutely lack. You know what I mean? Being great wouldn't mean anything if there wasn't somebody that existed on the floor. There is some ain't going nowhere, nothing ass people in this world. Just purposeless. They exist. And it's not because they were put here to be purposeless, but they let the hardship that life consists of for every single person, the rite of passage to success, or the rite of passage to living in some degree of comfort, or being able to access some degree of tranquility, the rite of passage in life is struggle. You have to endure something. Nobody is without that. And for those who can't endure, they end up at the bottom of this shit. That's why when people preach about fairness and all of that, when people preach about, oh, well, this isn't fair, or that's not fair, and this life was never, ever designed to be fair. Ever. But it also, there's a balance to this though, because with me understanding, some people are strong, some people are weak, and then you have the intermediate stuff in between, being strong as hell and being weak as hell. There's everything in between. With that same understanding, I could see a person who was weak and let life fold them up. I could still look at them and have empathy and be like, I too before have been in a place where life got so heavy on me, I felt broken. I could still empathize with that person to a degree. Can I empathize with quitting on myself? Never did that. Never did that. Can't empathize with it, but I can sympathize. But I think if more people operated in that balance, right? My logo got that Libra scale on it. If more people could operate within that balance, I think we'd be in a better space, not only in society, but we'd be able to sustain relationships again and get back to a situation where the nuclear family is normal. Like when I moved out the hood and we moved to the suburbs, on my block, this house straight ahead, the neighbor straight across the street, wife and husband and kids. Kitty corner, wife, husband, kids. Next door, 3 generations of family: grandpa, grandma, they kids, and then their kids, all married. You know what I'm saying? So like, not only did I grow up with my family being nuclear families, but even in my neighborhood, nuclear families were a lot more normal. Now it's like abnormal to be like, yeah, like my parents still together. And so I think that that's something that should be important to more of us in a conversation, for more of us to be like, I kind of want to break that curse. You feel me? Like nowadays, when people ask me like, yo, why you don't have kids? I'd be like, because I've never been married. That's my answer now. Why don't you have kids? Because I've never been married. You know, because I was born inside of wedlock. And I have empathy for the anger that sometimes people experience, because I too have had situations in life outside of parents, but just situations in life where it's like this boiling thing inside of you that you feel like you can't get answers for, and it has you, temperamental. So like we can all find empathy even if our stories aren't exactly the same. I think another reason why empathy gets lost though is because of the you versus y'all thing, which I also did a code language on, where people never want to be a part of the y'all. Everybody wants to be set so far apart. Your uniqueness is your uniqueness. It doesn't mean that you are without you don't have the general things that apply to all of us as well. Like you can be unique in your own ways, but you're still going to be human. You still got that in common. You may be unique in your own ways, but you still have hair on your head. You got that in common with a bunch of people. And if you don't grow hair, you bald. You got that in common with a bunch of people. Like we can find places and spaces and things to empathize with each other about, to get away from these places and spaces where people are so on edge, so anxious, so standoffish, introverted. And me being an introvert, I can still give this advice. I know why I don't want to be around you niggas, but that's for me. There's people who have things that are very much correctable and things that they would like to correct. They would like to be able to be more social. They would like to be without the anxiety. These things can be corrected, I believe, if more people had empathy for each other. More people will feel comfortable around each other. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna give on empathy. I do have a chat Q&A question. So we keeping the live rolling, man. Like I say, I got time today. I do have a chat Q&A question, but we're gonna end it on empathy. That's the code language conversation for today.
Classic codes, I ain't taking it slow. Forgive me, Lord, I woke up in that mode. Weathered the winters when left in the cold.